Hello, people and bots. Grandpa Canuck here, and we are in Black Ice mod for Hearts of Iron 4 with another tutorial. Today's tutorial is dealing with the NATO symbols that are very dominant in the Black Ice mod. A number of vanilla players have informed me that they don't have a lack of understanding of these, and it's very confusing for them. So I'm going to try and give you a bit of a lesson here on how to understand the basics of this and how it is of a benefit for you to use this system. Now, this is based on the NATO symbols. It is not exactly like the NATO symbols, and there's definitely a lot of differences between what is used in the Black Ice mod and the actual NATO system. To help explain this along the way, I'm going to use something that I accidentally closed. Okay. NATO military unit symbols, we want to use the reference of the Wikipedia. Sorry about that, I accidentally closed it. So we're going to refer to this Wikipedia page occasionally as we go through the tutorial today. Now, it does not use the NATO symbols 100% like it in the game as the actual NATO symbols. For instance, the NATO symbols, would have all the friendly, the hostile, the neutral, and the unknown in these colors. That is not the case. Okay. Also, it's a very complex system, and it takes a lot to understand the entire NATO system. And if you're comfortable with this, it is an excellent system to help you with understanding what your units are. But I'm not here to train you on the NATO system. I'm here to help you play Black Ice mod because it is using the basis of the system. So today we're going to base this tutorial around Italy. Italy has one of the more complex uses of the NATO symbols in their start of the game. A lot of people say when you're doing something in Hearts of Iron, the first playthrough you should play an easy country like Italy. Italy is not an easy country to understand or play. I do not recommend you play Italy as an initial country in Vanilla or Black Ice. In Black Ice, I would recommend you play Canada, Sweden, Holland, even Poland. Romania is a good choice. These smaller countries are not dealing with things as complex as what Italy has to deal with. But anyway, for the use of this tutorial, Italy is a good example of the different symbols and the different meaning of them. Now, first of all, the color differences. There are many different colors. And if you bring up the units themselves and you go to edit them, you'll see that there's all kinds of different shadings and colors. None of this uses the NATO rules at all. In Black Ice for Italy, your standard units are in white. Anything that is in gray is kind of mixed. You see here it has motorized motorcycle. You know, it's kind of more than one type of unit. The ones in orange are colonial troops. The ones in black are all light infantry. And this is just specific to Italy in this game. Black, when you start as Germany, is used for the SS troops. It's not consistent. So don't worry about the coloring. That is a personal choice on how you wish to color them to organize yourself. Okay? It's not a standard that's used in Black Ice. Now, the first thing I'd like to go over is the little symbols at the top of the blocks. Okay? And that is similar to the NATO standard. So here you can see they're representing different sizes of units with different numbers of troops. And the same principle applies to Black Ice. Black Ice uses some of these symbols. It uses the regiment, the brigade, the division, and the corps. So once again, the more X's, the bigger the unit. And if it's 3 lines, it's a regiment, it's really small. And that carries through to the use here. Let's just bring up this. So here you can see something with only the 3 lines, and they are generally smaller units. Okay? The X, 2X are generally bigger. Okay? There you can see it's using, what, 7 symbols? Let's go to this one. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 symbols. So in general, it's a larger military group. So that's what that symbol at the top is representing. Now, again, this is personal choice on how you use it. They're here for your benefit so that you can organize yourself to know which are the smaller and which are the larger units that you have. Now, there's all kinds of symbols that are used inside those boxes. Now, here's a bit of the complexity that the NATO symbols can use, because modern warfare has so many different types of symbols. Okay, the system that is being used in Black Ice is simplified from this, so it doesn't use all of these symbols. Thank goodness. But there are some basics that you need to know with these symbols. The oval represents tracks, so tracked units such as tanks. Okay, and in this era, that's pretty much the tracked units as far as the large organization goes. If you want to get into the small organization, you need to get more into the NATO symbols, and that would be an advanced course. So let's try and keep it simple. Anything with the oval is armored. Okay, it represents the tracks. Anything with a single line diagonal through it, that represents the cavalry saber. Okay, so those are cavalry units or reconnaissance. That's the 2 uses for that line. So if you look at this unit, okay, it's going to be mostly armor-based, and it's either reconnaissance or cavalry. Well, let's take a look. Look at that. It's an armored unit, and it's got a lot of cavalry in it. So that's why they've used that symbol. So when you see that on the map, oh, look, here's some armor that's mostly cavalry. Okay, and how's that different? Well, as you look around the map, oh, this one here, that's mostly armor, but it's not cavalry. And sure enough, when you look at the unit, okay, it has motorized, but the percentage of it is higher. And you can look at this symbol here on the unit detail, and it'll tell you the percentage of armor, the percentage of artillery, the percentage of motorized. And without having to look at the, without having to click on the unit, click on this, go over here and have a look, okay? These symbols are designed so you can just look at the map and get an overview of what's there. The X represents the traditional infantry cross belts that were used. Okay, so an X represents infantry, a single line represents cavalry or reconnaissance, and the oval represents tracks. Those are very, very distinct symbols that you can identify right away, okay, that this is an armored unit that's mostly based on the armor. This is an armored unit, but it's either cavalry or reconnaissance, so it's a kind of a lighter armor unit. A lot of people would use this for cavalry tanks or tankettes. Incidentally, NATO will put a bar for medium and a thicker double bar if it's heavy. And the symbols are there for you to use that as well. The other basic thing that the Black Ice does is this G in the middle, and that represents garrison. So you see that this is garrison troops. Okay, let's just close that up, and we'll look at these. And all of the ones with the G are dominantly garrison troops. This is using a different equipment than the infantry or the light. It's using a different grouping of equipment, the garrison troops are. So it's nice to know, whether you're using garrison or regular infantry or cavalry, etc. Italy is laid out in many different locations. The next couple of items that is used here is the anchor. The anchor is used in Black Ice to exclusively represent Marines, plain and simple. There's also a tendency to use this little peak symbol, which symbolizes mountain troops, and quite often in Black Ice it is done in brown. That just seems to be a game standard. So that would be mounted infantry. This would be amphibious assault Marines that are infantry because of the X. Okay? Within Italy, the orange represents colonial. The black is representing light infantry. And this is not a standard. This is just the way Italy is set up within the game. So, light infantry, mostly. If you want more specific information on a unit, if you're not understanding it, or as you're getting to learn, click on the unit, click on the symbol, and go over to this little symbol on the unit detail, and it will give you a composition. How much of it is cavalry, armor, artillery, motorized. And the symbols are used for what the major components are. Anything with armor you have a tendency to put the oval in. And you would put an X if it was infantry. Now, the next other little symbol that you need to understand, is there's little dots. And within black ice, it's pretty universal. If there's one dot, it is semi-motorized. If there's two dots, it is mostly motorized. So that when you look at the map, you can tell whether you have semi-motorized or motorized or regular infantry or garrison, etc. on the map. There is symbols that are choices in here that are not in the beginning. Units that don't have much equipment are quite often used with these more planar box symbols, and there's no set standard. The dot represents primarily artillery units. So as you look around here, this unit, it's going to be mostly artillery. Well, let's click on it, and we'll take a look. And look at that, 75% of this unit is artillery. So that's why they've chosen to use that symbol. Artillery, infantry, armor, light armor or armored reconnaissance. Okay, just by looking at it. Garrison. There's another standard where the bar indented kind of can symbolize guns or heavier support guns, and that is a symbol that is used in some of the units, and that is something that you could implement to use as well. Is it necessary? No. Can it keep you organized? Yes. Okay. So when you look at this, okay, in this case, it's signifying that it is garrison, but it's got a higher grouping of artillery and support. That's what they're using it to represent here. How you use these symbols is entirely up to you. You can adapt your own uses for them within the game. It's to help keep you organized. Understanding what's there in the beginning is the task of this video, and you can change the coloring to be whatever you want, but the standards you need to know: the difference between an oval, an X, a single line, the G, the dot, okay, the lump, which is the mountain, okay, the anchor, which is amphibious. Those are the basics that you need. Now, if you want to make it even more complex, go to the game options, use NATO symbols, apply. Now, when you enter the units, let's take one of our more complex units here, this one, and now everything is using the traditional NATO symbols, and you see more things introduced. Okay, so that's a light tank, that's a cavalry, that's a motorized unit. Okay, that is motorized, but it's a motorized mobile, which means motorcycle. Hey, okay, and then you get the specialty, you know, for maintenance, logistics, headquarters, etc. It gets a lot more complex. You don't need to do that. And if that is on accidentally, okay, go to your game options, go to use NATO symbols, and turn it off. It's a lot more work if you're a beginner. You don't need that. Turn it off. now, when you look at these units, it will have a more recognizable symbol that's used in the vanilla game. Okay, and these are easily identifiable. And if you're not sure what they are, hover over top of them. Right, you can see the difference between these two. This one's medium artillery. That one's standard motorized. This is medium motorized. Okay, so if you're not getting these symbols, go to the menu, turn it off. You have a lot of choices, and you can look up, and I recommend that website if you wish to understand more about the basics of NATO symbols. Go ahead and look up this Wikipedia page, and it will go on and on and on and on and on and on, and a lot of very, very good description of the NATO joint military symbols. Do you need to know all this? No, you don't. You don't need to know it all at all. Okay? It's a simple reference tool, but using these symbols will make your life easier. It's a complex mod in a complex game, and to keep yourself organized will alleviate a lot of your brain stress in playing this game. And that's a complaint of a lot of vanilla people that play the Black Ice mod. It's too complex. Well, you can simplify that complexity using the NATO symbols. You don't have to zoom in. Oh yeah, that's an infantry, and he's got that gun. Oh, he's got that kind of a backpack. Okay, so I know what he is. You don't need to do that. You can simplify your life, staying zoomed out into the bigger picture, seeing where your units are. That's a garrison infantry. This is a reinforced garrison infantry. That's a mountain troop. That is armor. That is light armor or armored reconnaissance. That's an armored unit. Mountain units. Okay? And that allows you to organize yourself and play the game quicker, which is something that vanilla players want when they get into Black Ice. They don't want to be bogged down in general. Some people love the detail and want to be bogged down, and they want to play exceedingly slowly. And they like that very much. Most players do not. They want to progress at a reasonable speed. Okay. They like moving along, getting to the next interesting thing. They don't want to spend half an hour just trying to figure out what is that guy, and do I need him over here, down here, and is he big, is he small? And so you don't have to click on the unit, click on it, look at the numbers, look at the strengths, whatever. Define your symbols. Okay, you can make them bigger, more X's if they have a higher soft attack. If that works for you, that's a great way to label your system using the NATO symbols. Okay, go by the percentages. If it's so much artillery, use a dot. If it's an infantry and it's got special support, okay, put the line on it. It's entirely up to you for how you use these symbols. They're there to simplify your life, okay, and you can use the different variants. One of the common variances that I like to use, okay, is I will normally use the white symbols, but if I have special supplies, such as desert supplies or the Arctic supplies, I will make those units in orange. So I may have the same unit in orange and white, and I know the only difference is this one is using desert supplies and this one is not using desert supplies. And that may affect my choice on how I'm moving the units or which units I'm using and sending. So it helps me with my organization. The 1 dot, semi-motorized, 2 dots, motorized. The difference between the gray, the white, the orange, and the black, that's up to you. It doesn't matter. Okay? What does this NG mean? Who cares? If you really want to know, look up the NATO symbols. Okay? It doesn't really matter. I think it matters a little bit more with the armor. I think it's pretty straightforward that light armor is the oval. Tankettes or light tanks, can use the crossbar. And then the bigger units, you can put the single line on it or the double line on it. And therefore, in an instant, in the later game, you can say, oh, there's my heavy armor, oh, there's my light armor. And that is very, very useful when you're on a large play area like the Russian front. And you want to know what unit is where for organizing and moving it. And the larger the front, the quicker you need to identify and not look over 50 units to find the one that you're looking for. And that's what these symbols are designed for. To find your specialty units, find your big units, your small units, and move them much quicker. So it simplifies the system for your use. So use it. If you have any questions about this tutorial, please leave them. Every country uses the symbols differently in Black Ice. There's no consistency across the coloring or any of that. The X's, the ovals, the dots, the mountain peak are universal across the countries, but the colorations are not. So any questions you have, please, forward them to me. Let me know if you like this video and found it useful. Please like it, send me a comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more, and if you have any suggestions for tutorials for Black Ice, I'd love to hear what you need to know, and I will try and provide that for you. So this is Grandpa Canuck. I'm going to sign off and let all you people and bots get back to your wonderful gaming and the enjoyment of your relaxation time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.